Detroit players who kneeled during the anthem last weekend. After the game, Spence said his decision was an opportunity to, quote, stand up for what's right. But yesterday, Spence tweeted, got some awful news from my father. A contractor denied giving him a job on doing a house because of my peaceful protests. Hashtag shaking my head. We're joined by Rob Parker, who covered the Lions in Detroit for many years. Welcome, Rob.
What's happening? Good morning.
What's your Detroit? Yes. What's your reaction?
It's unjust as, you know, these things go, but I'm not surprised. It is what it is, and Shannon, here's during a struggle, any kind of struggle, there's going to be sacrifice.
Yep.
And it's always about who's willing to take the money. That's where the term, like people selling out, like taking the money and ignoring what's right and just to get along and just to move forward. This is the trick. This is how this has been able to go on because people are so not willing to sacrifice. There's always a sacrifice and a struggle. So here's one of them. And that's why I say it is what it is. Maybe you don't even want that money. You move on to the next job. And maybe there are people who hear this and say, I'll hire you or I'll give you an opportunity, because when you're talking about a peaceful protest and not doing anything wrong, it's hard for me to look at the person who's trying to hurt you and have any respect for them or worry about them. You just got to move on and let that guy or let those people do what they do. And if they feel good with that and they're comfortable with it, that's fine. But they can't change what's right. And that's what Akeem was saying in his statement. Right is right. You never have to apologize for talking about injustices or equality or being treated fairly. If that's wrong, then the old song, I don't want to be right. And that's just how it is. So I'm not surprised, Joy, about how this is going down, but you just have to fight through it. You can't let it stop what you're trying to accomplish, which is equality and being treated fairly.
I'm not surprised at all. This happens every day. The only difference is the man doesn't have a son that plays in the NFL. He doesn't have a Twitter account that can reach hundreds of thousands. This is nothing new. This happens every day. Hashtag make America great. Let's be real with this, Skip. This is what we're talking about. You would deny a man a job because of something that his son did that you don't agree with. The man didn't do nothing to you. That's just like, see, and that's what I'm saying. That's like me treating Skip bad because a white guy did something to me down the Skip didn't do nothing to me. So why am I treating Skip bad? I got the problem with you. I got the problem with him. He got a problem with the guy's son, so I'm going to take it out on you. But this happens all the time. It is not necessarily race related. It might be gender related. It might be religious related. But we have issues.
You know that
A lot of people, well, America's not great. It's not perfect. I get it. So since it's not perfect, can we try to work on some of these imperfections? So let me tell you what's going on. Let me tell you what I think we should be able to do. Skip, this is shameful. And the guy has no shame that did it. He has no couth, no morals. He don't care. Remember, I said it. It goes to show you more people than we think cares less about this issue than maybe we even previously thought. I know what they say publicly. Because, Skip, you get the camera and you're I know there's racism that exists, and I know the gender equality is not what it's supposed to be. And then they slam the door. I don't give a damn about that. I'm fine.
Right. Because it doesn't affect them or their family.
I'm good over here. So, but this is what happens. Sometimes people have to sacrifice things for the betterment of all. And hopefully this doesn't impact him. Because I know how he's thinking. When my brother went to the NFL, Skip, my mom didn't stop working. My grandmother still cleaned houses. She's like, that's them boys' money. But to think, this guy's trying to make a living. He's not trying to live off his son. He's like, well, I'm closing up my shop.
He's got his own right. He's got his own job in life. Absolutely.
Boy, this is, but I'm not surprised.
But I could say this. I bet you his dad is proud of him from the standpoint that it's still about his son. He raised his son right to believe in what's right is right and it's worth fighting for. Somebody's little paycheck or money or whatever, you just have to make that up.
Right.
That's all from somewhere else.
Maybe a bigger job will come along, and he'd have been tinkering around with this little job, and he'd have missed out on the big job.
So I'm just going to guess here that Akeem Spence's father worked as sort of an independent contractor, working on building homes or remodeling homes, whatever, and that he had often bragged on his son, as he certainly has a right to do.
Right.
He's playing for the Detroit Lions, and the father lives in, assume, right? He's from Detroit.
That I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Okay.
No,
That's
they're
Florida.
from Walton Beach.
That's
where they're from.
Florida. You're right.
Florida.
Okay. So the point is that all of a sudden the bragging on your son turned around on you, and the guy who's hiring you says, "Wait a second, I'm not going to hire you. Your son disrespected the flag." I assume that's what he's thinking. So here's where my sympathy lies for Akeem Spence. He knelt on Sunday, not exactly for the reason Colin Kaepernick originally knelt. Akeem and his teammates were responding to our president's blast on Friday night.
Right.
So it took on a little different form of protest because you got branded as a son of a right. And so it's a little different issue now. You're just defending your
honor,
sport, your honor of your sport against that man, and so he did it, not thinking, oh, I could sacrifice maybe my job or who knows, my father's job.
Right.
That wasn't in his consciousness when he knelt, right? But now back to your point, you always say the very nature of a protest is to make people uncomfortable.
Yep.
But the inherent nature of a protest is you are risking
consequences.
Yep. And it could mean, Colin Kaepernick, you risk your job.
Yes.
You lost your job. Wow. So now I'm going to ask you, we've been going back and forth on this, and I don't have an answer to it, but it was very interesting last night to watch what happened in Green Bay. For me, shocking, because they all voted after Aaron Rodgers asked them to vote yes for us. They voted no. Thousands of them. I don't know exactly how many, but there were only small pockets of people fans who went along with what Aaron Rodgers invited them to do, almost ordered them to do, lock arms in unity behind us. And I'm going to remind everybody that even Akeem Spence says it wasn't about the flag. Well, maybe it wasn't for him, but it was about the flag for Colin Kaepernick to begin with, because he said, if I can paraphrase, I cannot honor the flag that represents a country that does not treat me equally. That's the whole notion of what he was doing, because so many unarmed black men have been shot and killed by white cops. And there's been so much police brutality on the part of white cops directed toward virtually defenseless black men. This had happened again and again and again and again and again. And I've been campaigning against it for 3 years, dating back to the show we used to do on ESPN. And so I was with Colin, certainly in spirit and in message. I didn't love, I'm just a God and country guy, so I cringed when I first saw him kneel, but then it got everybody's attention. He was on the cover of Time magazine because of it. And silly me, I thought it was connecting with some white people who would keep their eyes and ears open long enough just to let the message get in. Oh, yeah, okay, I get that. Even if they don't love the method with which he tried to get their attention. And it's extreme now, because this is the greatest country in the world, and people do love the flag and what we've fought for over the years, for better and for worse, white people. But in the end, I'm starting to wonder, did Colin choose the wrong method of protest to the point that he just turned everybody away immediately?
Skip, I don't think it would have mattered what method. I just don't. I just think that there are a lot of people who just are uninterested, don't care about the plight of the black man, even in 2017, don't care that we had a black president, don't care that the league is 70% black, don't care, just don't care that their favorite actor that they go see, Kevin Hart, and spend their money to watch and laugh at him, don't care. That's one thing to enjoy and look at. It's a different thing to live that life. And I hate to say it, but here we are. And most are not interested in the black man's plight. That's why in Green Bay, they're not going to lock arms. They just, it could be. Because
that'd be a symbol of acknowledgement.
Exactly.
See, we like symbols when it symbolizes what we want it to mean and what it wants to stand
I think they would tell you, I'm not going to disrespect the flag the way they are on
But
the
hold
field.
on, you're standing. High as standing, locked
Locking
arms,
arms,
with your hand
disrespect.
over your heart, facing the flag. How's that
Shannon's
disrespectful?
right, Skip. What it is they don't want to acknowledge that there's something wrong. From my friends who happen to be white, who I talk to, they're disgusted with the whole thing on they just want it to go away.
Yes.
They don't want to hear about it. They just don't. That's what I get. Oh, here we go. You're talking about it again.
Yeah.
Oh, my. I can't watch this. Oh, my. Can't we just talk about football? Because it hurts. Because it hurts, Skip. You saw the video yourself. It's going on. There's no, and what can you do to tell people, or to have people not look at you sideways when this is going on and there's no resolve or there's nothing. So they're painted into a bad corner. And that's why they don't want to deal with it.
You notice, Rob, that the people that are in the group that's doing the discriminating against, and the people that can do something about this racial and social injustices, they never complain, but they only complain about the people that's complaining about being discriminated against.
Right.
Because this is what I know. This is what we know, Skip. Think about all the people that love the flag and support this. And when we talk about this, well, the president has freedom of speech. But Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who's the press secretary, was talking about these athletes, and they shouldn't protest the flag. So he gets freedom of speech, but they don't.
It doesn't even make sense. None of it makes sense.
Of course not.
And
because if it made sense, it would make sense.
Right.
Okay, so bottom line, did Colin Kaepernick, or has Colin Kaepernick had any national impact on the original cause?
He brought it to the forefront. But because we're kneeling, we're standing, we're united, we're solidarity, it's the flag, it's the anthem, and somewhere in there there's a lot. It's like if we throw all these papers in there, Skip, and we turn them upside down. Skip knows it's in there somewhere. I just don't know which one it is. And that's what we are now.
But also, I think Colin Kaepernick's had a big effect on black people. I really do. In that, I think I really do. I think, and you know what? Maybe white people aren't interested and they don't have to get on board. But I tell you, black people know what's going on, and that's why that whole being woke and all that, people understand that there's a crisis going on. We're in a bad place.
Bad.
And people don't like it. And if you don't push back as a black person right now, Skip, you're turning the clocks back. You can't allow this and accept it and just be like, oh, well.
Are we still talking about police brutality or just racism?
No, but I'm just saying, but stemming from that.
Okay, is it possible that what Colin Kaepernick did was so extreme and so dramatic, and I think so powerful, that there are even 2 or 3 white cops somewhere in this country who now sit back and think twice about overreacting?
No, because there's no accountability. Because we still see it. We still see it happening with the killing of unarmed black men and women. Because here's the thing, Skip. They've given you, the court has given extreme latitude when it says threat real or perceived. Skip, just imagine if you could walk across the street and punch somebody in the face and say, man, I thought he was going to hit me.
I thought he was going to, right.
I mean, you walk, because that's what the police, real or Skip, do you know how broad a latitude that is if you perceive it, even in your mind, if it's not true?
Yep, I agree. And I must say, bottom line to what happened in Green Bay yesterday, it bothered me a little bit that Aaron Rodgers invited this show of unity, and then on the day that he gives away his tickets, he chose to give them away to the police department in Green Bay because he's saying he's playing both sides. To me, that's how it came across. Because
the movement isn't anti-police; it's just anti-bad police.
We're anti-bad police.
Either way, a lot of hearts were revealed last night because they were linking arms, and there were still players with their hands over their heart while they were linking arms. It was just like you said: if you link arms and you're acknowledging there's a problem, and if you acknowledge there's a problem, then you might have to actually fix it or do something about it. But all I'll say is be careful of what happens in a society when symbols and ideology become more important than your countrymen's suffering.
And I always say this too. In order to love one's country, that country must love you back. And I think
that's Colin Kaepernick's original message.
Yeah, love.
We gotta leave it there.
Right.
Rob, thanks for joining us.
Citizens of that country.
Was the hit on Devontae Adams dirty? We'll discuss that next.